Kindness alone is not enough to survive in the world. The belief that being a good person is enough to achieve success is an illusion. And worse, those who believe it know, deep down, that it isn't true, but choose not to accept this reality. Many people feel that despite always doing the right thing, they end up being overlooked or even exploited. Society teaches that honesty and virtue will be rewarded, but the real world doesn't work that way. Success does not favor only the just, but those who know how to play their cards wisely. This is where Machiavelli comes in. He understood the true nature of humanity, selfish, unpredictable, and ruthless when necessary. In The Prince, he explains that virtue without cunning is a weakness, and that kindness without strategy is a trap. Great leaders and successful individuals did not reach the top through good intentions alone, but because they knew how to operate in the shadows, recognizing that morality can be a tool. Knowing when to show kindness and when to conceal it is what separates the players from the pawns. The problem is not being a good person, but failing to protect oneself. Many assume that others play by the same rules, but in reality the world is full of predators, disguised as friends. Machiavelli's solution is intelligent kindness, one that does not require abandoning principles, but rather balancing them with a pragmatic understanding of reality. One must learn to read people, anticipate intentions, and discern when to trust and when to remain guarded. Many choose to be loved and accepted, but that does not earn them respect or power. It only makes them easy targets. Kindness without strength does not inspire admiration, only pity. The world does not reward the just, but the clever. True virtue is not submission, but the ability to balance ethics with pragmatism. Machiavelli taught that image is essential. It's not just about who you are, but how others perceive you. If someone appears weak, they will be treated as such. If they project strength, they will be respected. How often do people allow themselves to be disrespected out of fear of losing acceptance? Staying silent to avoid conflict often leads to greater losses than gains. Strategy is not cruelty, it is intelligence. The mistake many make is believing that the world values purity of heart, when, in reality, it values power, security, and the ability to make difficult decisions. Kindness is only respected when accompanied by authority. Without power, kindness becomes irrelevant. Machiavelli did not write The Prince to teach malice, but to teach survival. The real question is, continue living under the illusion that kindness is enough, or start applying true intelligence? The key concept here is the perception of power. It's not enough to be strong. You must appear strong. The world rewards those who know how to sell their narrative. Real competence does not always speak for itself. What matters is the ability to project authority and control. More often than not, manipulators and incompetents go further than just and talented individuals simply because they know how to manage their image. Perception is everything. An insecure leader will never inspire confidence no matter how competent they are. A talented professional who doesn't know how to stand out will never be promoted. A high-value man or woman who doesn't know how to project their worth will never be truly desired. The key is mastering the narrative about yourself. It's not about deception, but about directing others' attention to what truly matters. People don't perceive reality as it is. They see it through filters of emotion and bias. Those who appear weak will be treated as weak. Those who seem uncertain will be ignored. The ability to control perception is what separates those who shape their own destiny from those who are shaped by others. The most powerful people always seem to have an advantage because they know when to speak and when to stay silent. The naive believe that absolute honesty is a virtue, that they must always say what they think and share everything they know. But in reality, information is power, and distributing it carelessly comes with consequences. Machiavelli teaches that a prince must know how to conceal his true intentions. This is not about lying, but about understanding that in a world where everyone seeks an advantage, revealing too much makes one vulnerable. The lesson here is clear. Learn to control what you share and speak only when necessary. Maintaining a sense of mystery commands respect. When a person becomes completely predictable, they lose any strategic advantage. Great figures in history understood this and never revealed everything. Many mistake transparency for weakness, believing that hiding nothing means being genuine. However, the reality is that power lies in controlling the flow of information. How many times has someone said too much and later regretted it, trusted the wrong person only to see their own words used against them? True respect comes from strategic silence. Those who speak less and explain less command greater authority because they create uncertainty, and uncertainty sparks curiosity. Curiosity, in turn, grants power. Predictable people are easy to manipulate. If someone always reacts the same way, their moves can be anticipated and used against them. But those who are unpredictable are dangerous, and for that, they are respected. A leader who is too transparent is a weak leader. The one who maintains a level of mystery, who can never be fully labeled or figured out, is the one who stays in power. The crucial question is, will you continue being an open book that anyone can read and manipulate, or will you learn to be a strategist? One who controls their image, their information, and their unpredictability? The world does not change its rules for anyone. To win, one must play by the real rules, not the illusions we are taught. One of the most fundamental of these is the strategy of distance. Many believe that constant presence is the key to power, but this is a mistake. Excessive availability diminishes one's value. Scarcity creates desire, and absence leaves an impact. Machiavelli warned that a prince should avoid being overly accessible, as excessive familiarity erodes respect. This applies to all aspects of life. Those who are always available and give without limits become disposable. People who give their all to others often realize they are not truly valued. This happens because what is abundant is taken for granted, while what is rare is cherished. The real strategy lies in mastering the art of presence, knowing when to step back and when to return. Those who learn to disappear at the right moment and reappear strategically command both interest and respect. Those who make an impact are not the ones who shout all the time, but the ones who know when to act. Great historical figures do not waste energy on unnecessary battles. They emerge only when it truly matters. Many believe that power comes from brute force, aggression, or ruling through fear. However, Machiavelli understood that true dominance comes from absolute control over one's emotions. Those who lose their composure, react impulsively, or are driven by anger or anxiety become predictable and therefore easy to manipulate. The essential question here is, who holds the power when you lose control? The answer is never you, but rather the one who managed to destabilize you. The secret is to be unshakable, to maintain composure and calculation in any situation, whether in an argument, a negotiation, or a social interaction. Emotional self-control does not mean suppressing feelings, but rather refusing to be enslaved by them. Those who master the game of life are not necessarily the strongest, but the ones who remain calm while everyone else loses their composure. This quality makes them unpredictable and impossible to manipulate. This brings us to another fundamental principle: strategic patience. Many people crave immediate results, respect, success, influence, but history's greatest minds understood that true power belongs to those who know how to wait for the right moment to act. While most rush in and make impulsive decisions, strategists observe, calculate, and strike only when the circumstances favor them. The game of power is not won by those who act first, but by those who act at the precise moment. Just as a hunter does not fire at the slightest movement, but waits for the prey to be in the perfect position, a true strategist knows when to advance and when to retreat. Machiavelli said that fortune favors those who know how to adapt to circumstances. Success does not come from acting frantically, but from intelligently alternating between action and observation. The mediocre act without thinking. The strategists wait for the moment of maximum effectiveness. The real question is, do you act without thinking? Or do you wait for the perfect moment to strike with surgical precision? Because in the end, power does not belong to the fastest, but to the smartest. Those who master perception, information, distance, emotional self-control, and strategic patience. The world will remain ruthless, but those who understand its rules can finally begin to play it to their advantage. However, knowing these rules is not enough. The real game changer is becoming an anomaly in the system, someone who does not blindly follow imposed patterns, but instead writes their own rules. Most people operate within the limits set for them. They follow predictable patterns, react as expected, and never challenge the status quo. But those who truly change the game are the ones who dare to be unpredictable. They do not simply break the rules for the sake of rebellion, they reinvent them in their favor. The brutal truth is that the world devours those who conform. If you do what everyone else does, you will get the same results as everyone else: mediocrity and obscurity. The only way to win is to break the mold, act unexpectedly, and never be fully understood or anticipated. Once you understand these strategies, something shifts within you. You realize you were never weak, you were simply not playing with the right tactics. If people ignored you in the past, it wasn't because you lacked value, but because you didn't know how to project it. Now you do. And this knowledge is dangerous because once applied, there is no turning back. The moment you begin to control your presence, shape your image, manage information as a tool, and use silence as a weapon, the world starts reacting differently to you. Those who once overlooked you now take notice. Those who underestimated you begin to wonder what has changed. And those who once manipulated you start to fear what you might be planning, because you are no longer predictable. You now understand how the game works. The decision is yours. Will you apply this knowledge or remain in ignorance? Because the difference between those who thrive and those who are left behind is not what they know, but what they do with what they know. If you choose to ignore this wisdom and continue acting as you always have, you are choosing to remain invisible. But if you decide to change, you can start with small steps. Introduce a touch of mystery into your interactions. Control the urge to overshare. Respond with composure instead of reacting emotionally. Know when to withdraw strategically. Observe more and act with precision. These small actions over time reshape how others perceive you, and before you even realize it, you will have transformed into someone who can no longer be ignored. The world does not remember those who merely existed. It remembers those who knew how to play the game. Now comes the final question. Are you ready to play? If this video made you question something, if it shifted your perspective, subscribe and leave a like. And remember, don't just be another player in the system. Be the one who writes the rules.